and Saturday Night Live here in Joplin. We're glad to be able to bring this to you. Hopefully you're doing well today. My purpose is I just want to try to say something, do something, maybe somehow touch you and help you to feel better about the day, feel stronger, maybe give you some new tools, maybe some new insights. Today I've got some maybe some new ideas for you here to help you to maybe get a bigger picture on what's going on in our world today, and hopefully just to reassure you that it'll be okay no matter what happens. Today my title is that what is the difference between complex and complex and man, for some reason I went blank all of a sudden. Complex and complicated. There you go. Whew. Man, all right. Complex and complicated, and also I'm going to talk about the power of synchronization. So complex and complicated. So, like I said, that's my title for today, the difference between the two, and they sound about the same. A lot of times I ask people about it, and they're not really for sure what it's about. But why does it even matter? Well, because it just helps us to if we have verbal skills and concepts to help us understand what's going on, we are able to interact with the world in a better way. And so, complex. Let's just talk about complex here for a second. Complex is something that, my first thought how to explain it is kind of like a housing complex. There's a lot of different family units in maybe either in one building or multiple buildings. But let's say in one big building, one complex of different small 1, 2, 3 bedroom units, maybe even larger, and each unit is independent, but each unit is connected to the entire complex. It's the complex, but each one functions independently, and so they're separate, but they're connected, and that really, when it comes down to it, it's really hard to control these different sections or pieces or components in a complex situation, because each one could function somewhat on its own, and it breaks down a little bit in the analogy of the complex. But if you talk about like in the rainforest, that it's so vast, so big, there's so many different complex units in it that the whole unit is not dependent on one part, but each part makes up the entire unit. So that's complex. Complicated is similar, but it's got multiple components to it, and it's all tied together. And if one component shuts down, it shuts down the entire thing. So, but it's complicated. It takes maybe it's like a jet plane, or shooting a rocket to Mars or whatever. That's more complex. But something complicated like a plane, where you to try to build one, I don't know, depending on what degree that you're able to read diagrams and know the information, but you could probably put something together, and that's where it's complicated, okay? And with a complicated issue, which is one of the interesting things that actually I learned in my studies to prepare for this today, is that in a complicated, it is designed that you can try to control, because you're able to get what you you design it to produce what it is that you want, even though it's complicated, okay? And so another example of complicated is like a cell phone. A cell phone is complicated, right? Now people do it, and a lot of different people work together and put it together. But if you cut that cell phone in half, none of it's going to work, right? It's shut down. It's destroyed. But in a complex situation, like your brain, how about like your brain? Because there are times that there have been people that have actually lost half of their brain. And somehow, because of the complexity of our brain, it was able to, if you were able to live, and with, I would say with some divine favor, was able to continue to live, and that brain was able to rewire things and actually be able to function. People with holes in their heads, people that have had surgery on their brain, because it's complex. The entire body is complex. It just so many things. In fact, I heard the other day, and I don't know if I'm not for sure if this is true, but I understand they found something new in the body here just recently, and so that they didn't even know that was there. And hey, this body is complex, just like this world, this universe, this cosmos, the ocean. This world is complex. Now, I'm not trying to depress you or anything. I'm just saying, man, God has put this thing together, and it's complex, okay? Yes, it's complicated. There's a lot of complicated issues, but he also has this other force that I'm going to talk about here for a moment. And I got a video that I want to show you. I'll talk about more of that in a minute. And is synchronization. Synchronization is something that works in our universe, in our world, in our life. That there's this unseen force that wants to cause harmony and synchronization. I heard many years ago that females, when they live together, like in a dorm, or nuns living in together, that if they live long enough, that their menstrual periods synchronize. And I don't know how long they have to live together, but I understand that's what happens. And there's a experiments communicated about clocks on the wall, and that they had the pendulum swinging back and forth, and given enough time, the pendulums would all be swinging together. I have a video of some 32 metronomes, and that they start off in a random setting. I'm going to try to show it to you. I've not done anything like this before. My daughter Whitney has talked me through it, and hopefully I'm able to get this on here. It's actually a 4-minute video. I've sped it up to twice the speed, so it'll only be 2 minutes, maybe a little less, to show you, because it's fascinating. I remember years ago, I think Jordan Peterson, I saw this on one of his, probably 3-4 years ago, maybe 3 years ago. I'm not really sure, but it's pretty fascinating. There's several out there. You can look at it, go on YouTube. There's several different ones, but it's fascinating how all this works, and it's working things in our world today. So let me jump over here. I'm going to switch screens, and then I'll be back when that's done. Okay, I couldn't hear. I couldn't hear it from where I was at. So when you're listening to it, you can hear how it's synchronized, and hopefully it got to the place where it looked like to me all of them were synchronized, and that's just one little illustration of how there's an unseen force that's working to bring that. Yes, maybe it's just mechanical, but I'm saying that even if it is mechanical, there's something that organized that for it to be that way. And I think it's part of, in my opinion, you don't have to believe this, but I think it's part of God's overall plan. And what's on my heart and spirit today is to say that this force is in work, and I know things are crazy, things are going on, people are afraid, people are mad, and I'm not saying that you can't be that, or that, but I'm saying that it'll be okay, even though it may not look like it's going to be okay, but it will be okay, because the way in quantum physics, everything's a part of everything else, and it all works together. Now I know that may sound kind of woo-woo, but the fact of it is, I believe that that's what's going on. What's going on? As I told someone here just the other day, God is still God. He has been. I mean, there's been times in my past that I felt the same way. I thought it was just the worst thing that could ever happen. And if you're not careful, you can get depressed and get overwhelmed. But I just want you to take heart today. It'll be okay. Take a deep breath. Take 2 of them in, and then release it. And just breathe and relax. Supposedly that signals your body to relax. Breathing in twice and then exhaling. So what I want to say is that I want to read a scripture out of Colossians 1:15. Says, He is the image of the invisible God. Well, I believe it's really speaking about Jesus, but the invisible God, what I wanted to talk about here for a second, the invisible God. There's an invisible force that's working, which is God, which a few years ago, they found a new, I lost the word of it. They found a new element, and it's not really an element. It's a part of, anyway, it's the Higgs boson, and it's what they call the God element. Maybe it is the element, and that it's that missing part that filled in what's there. It is a part of everything, and it's what if I remember correctly is what carries the mass, and it pulls everything together. And they have what they call the unified field theory, where that, I believe, is the presence of God in everything. But that's how I understand it, and I believe it to be that way. If you want to change your life, this is important. This is a big idea here. If you want to change your life, what you have to do is you have to change the people you're hanging out with, the people that you affiliate with, because like those metrodomes, you are going to be synchronized to the people that you hang around with. You may not be able to control everything they do. Sometimes you can't even control everything you do, but you have more control about the choice that you make, who you're going to spend time with, because you're going to be more like them by spending time around them. Whether you say, no, I want to change them. I remember my dad one time, he let me hang around with a guy that in high school that was, he was pretty rough and pretty wild, and he said that he made that choice because somebody said, well, you shouldn't let him hang around with him. And he said, well, I think maybe my son will have a positive effect on him. And I think I did, but guess what? He also had some negative effect on me, okay? But eventually, somewhere down the line, he wanted to go further into his stuff, and I knew it wasn't in my best interest to go that way, okay? That's a side story there. So a strategy is we pick the people we're going to be around because that's the way that we want to be. All right? If you don't want to be that way, you need to choose healthier people, in my opinion. Okay? And I think in other people's opinion. Because that's the force of synchronizing power, because it's unseen and it just subtly moves us into those positions. And I think it's doing that. It has done that, will continue to do that, not only in your life and in my life, but in lives of everyone else. And here's another big idea. What we have to do is we really have to be careful that we don't sabotage ourselves. Some people work themselves into a spot, and then they give their self no way out, and then they explode or implode, sabotage themselves. They can work it up so much in their mind and their emotions that they'll run themselves into a bad place. They'll get trapped. And you've seen that happen to other people, and possibly it's even happened to you. But you need to be aware. And you need to be aware of what you're doing. So whatever you do, don't sabotage. It may be bad, it may be difficult. There's even some people that may even be thinking about suicide, but don't do that. Don't continue to feed in that, to push yourself into that area, because if you keep doing that, you could run to the place that you bring people in your life that will reinforce the negative instead of helping you to stand up and live in the positive. So don't sabotage yourself. You need to make healthy choices. What's in your best interest? So change your thoughts, change your life. I say this almost every week, but change your thoughts, change your life, change your choices, and that will change your life. Okay? You'll never change your life until you change your choices. Psalms 143:10 says this. It says, teach me to do your will. This struck me. Teach me to do your will. Well, I want to do your will, but I'm not able to do your will, or maybe I don't know my will, or maybe what I want I can't seem to do. I need some help in that. And this is a prayer, teach me to do your will, for you are my God. I want to hang around with you. You are my God. Teach me. And if you hang around with him, you will be taught. Okay? May your good spirit lead me on the level ground. Another translation says firm footing. Were you able to get solid? Were you able to stand your ground? You're not on rocky or on the hillside where you could slip and fall, but you're on solid foundation, solid soil, so that you can stand. That you can stand, you can live, you can build. Even if you have to defend yourself, to fight, you're able to do that. The world is complex. It has always been complex. There's a lot going on with the neuroscience helps us to understand it better, but the quantum physics with all the nuances that 90% of the scientists don't even believe in it because it is so radical. But it's not going away. It's just getting more and more into our psyche here nowadays. Life, relationship, the human body. This is complex. But what we have to do is we have to narrow things down, and it's up to our choice. How do we choose to live? What's in our best interest? I have to learn life. I have to learn how to live life. I have to make these healthy choices and stay on my track. I can't control what's going on in the elections. I can't control what people are doing. But what I can have some reasonable control in is what I choose to do. And what I choose to do affects things around me. And that's a good thing. That makes a difference. That makes a difference. Every one of us, you are a leader. We're all leaders. You affect people around you. You're either affecting them in the positive or in the negative, but you are affecting them. That's dynamically pure. And the scripture out of Ephesians says that the body works together. It is fitted together to add strength to each other, to help it to grow and to come into its full measure in the love of God, and that it's designed to do that, just as this world is designed. I think Einstein said that this world was designed for order, even though it looks like there's a lot of chaos, but there's way more order. If you just really stop and look at it, there's way more order, because if there wasn't, it wouldn't stay together. And it does stay together. You know that. So the things that are complex, and there are things that are complex, there are things that are complicated. And this unseen force is at work, even though you may even deny that it's even working. But the video showed you it's there, it works. You see these birds that fly in a big flock, and they all just turn and switch. I saw some birds out by the hospital a year or so ago, and I just saw them in the sky. It was a massive group of blackbirds, and they were just going through, and they would just turn, and there was sometimes it looked so dense because it was so wide and it was right there, and they just, but none of them fell out of the sky. None of them collided. None of them, I didn't see any hits. Okay, just like fish, you've seen pictures or video of fish that can just all of a sudden they just all turn. There's no signal. They all just seem to be able to do it because of this force that scientists don't know how to explain. They can do simulations on the computer that simulate it, but they don't know how it works that way in life, in nature. And that's where being led by the Spirit, what God wants us to be led by His Spirit, and allow Him to lead us and to guide us. And all we can do is do our best to try to be open to that. And even if though you don't think that you're doing very good, you're working on it. It's a learned process. It's like every art or craft. You build a sense, a feel to what you need to do, and then you're able to do it. I was talking to somebody. I was talking to my brother about water blasting. He said you learn the technique in the field, and I've done some water blasting. And if you go too much, you'll dig things up, and if you don't do it good enough, you don't do any good. And that's the way it is with everything. I remember when I was in the machine shop, we had set our tools by touch because we only want to move it a thousandths or so, and it's hard to do when you first start off. You move them way too far, and you just work at it and work at it, work at it. And that's the way it is. We want to get sensitive to God's direction. And you say, well, how do you do that? Well, you start listening. You be in the present. You be present. You be in the moment. You're willing to listen. And after a little while, it's kind of like feeling a current in the stream. You can get in that current, and it'll pull you along. Anyway, hopefully my ramblings were beneficial to you. I know I had Quentin, a fellow that I saw at church here a couple weeks ago, and he told me he's listening, and different ones tell me that they are, and hopefully these are beneficial to you, that they help you to see something. And all I want to do is to help folks get some new ideas, some new strategies, to encourage them, to bring them from into a new place, a new relationship. I just want you to remember the number one thing I said today about a big idea is, if you forget everything else, just don't sabotage yourself. Hang in there. You know what they always say, this too will pass. It'll level out. Things, you know, as I had someone say, I know I'm rambling a little bit, but I want to throw this in here. I had somebody say here in the last week, said, I didn't think that we'd ever be able to get over the tornado. This person said, I didn't think we'd ever be able to be restored from the tornado. But they said, but you look now, and you're hardly even aware that it even happened, because there's so much that has been restored. I know it's taken some time, it's taken some work, taken some effort. But the fact of it is, I think that we can take that as hope into our own life. Don't sabotage yourself. Hang in there. I believe the divine order is order. And then I just want you to have a blessed day. May the Lord bless you, keep you. May His face shine upon you and give you His peace. Until next time, take care of yourself.